Listening to your goals and dreams is our top priority at West Tennessee Bank. Benefit from our more than 100 years of experience and visit our Henderson branch today. West Tennessee Bank, focused on you. West Tennessee Bank is a division of Decatur County Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
All right, gentlemen, there is a quorum present. We'll go ahead and proceed. We do have a updated agenda. Do I have a motion to approve that?
This is Dwight. I make a motion to approve it.
This is Ronald. I second it.
All right, we have motion second to approve the amended agenda. Troy, you want to call a roll on that, please?
Yes, sir. Dwight Bingham,
Yes.
Shane Connor,
Yes.
Norris Frank,
Yes.
Mark Griffin,
Yes.
Ronald Johnson,
Yes.
Bob Moore.
Yes, and that will mean it is approved, so we'll go ahead and with our agenda, and the first thing is going to be our consent agenda.
This is Dwight. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
This is Ronald. I second it.
All right, we have a motion second to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Okay, Troy, I'll have to ask you to call roll again, please.
Dwight Bingham,
Yes.
Shane Connor,
Yes.
Norris Frank,
Yes.
Mark Griffin,
Yes.
Ronald Johnson,
Yes.
Bob Moore.
Yes. All right, then we do approve the consent agenda. Don't think we have any delegations at this time, do we, Troy?
No, sir, we don't.
All right, then let's go on to our third thing will be our spotlight. And Troy, I'm going to kind of let you open up with that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bob. As you have seen in your board agenda, this past few weeks ago, one of our high school teachers, English teacher, Mr. Jonathan Patel, was recognized by WBBJ as Spotlight Educator of the Week. Again, every year we are fortunate to have several of our staff across the district to be recognized for this honor. It is a special honor for those teachers because they're nominated by one of the students or a student or family member. And we are, I would also like to include, because we did not refer to it earlier, but earlier in this same school year for 1920 school year, Mary Hicks, Chester County High School drama teacher, Mr. Todd Beaver, Chester County High School geometry teacher, and Morgan Cunningham, an East Chester Elementary pre-K SPED teacher, were also three other Chester Countyans that were recognized this past school year. So we are very pleased with the recognition. Again, we are glad that we have the notoriety in our district, in our community, good teachers recognized by their students.
All right, and you also, I think you were going to recognize some of our volunteers.
Yes, last month, as we were taking business to consider stipends for the cafeteria workers and the supervisors, I did take some initiative and tried to do it by memory of those who had served as volunteers at those distribution dates. Again, this has been occurring since late March and will continue through tomorrow. Friday, May the 15th is the last distribution day for our children in Chester County through the school system. And several of these names that I want to call off have been out at the high school every Tuesday, every Friday from 10 to 12. And my hat's off to them for taking time out of their schedule to be a part of this worthy task. I can know from experience that the people who have served have and been right there on the front line, helping support our families to make sure that they have plenty of food and essentials to continue through this long duration of a break. And I just want to take just a second to read off the names quickly. We had a total of 36 different volunteers. An overwhelming majority of those volunteers were employees. We had 29 employees who volunteered over the course of these weeks. We had 6 just family members or friends of Chester County Schools who were volunteers. And then actually we had 1 student who was a volunteer for one event. So again, the names of those, and I'm going to go through them real quickly, but to each one, I do say thank you for your service to our kids, to our students, their families. I know for those who were on the front line participating, heard the praise and the adoration of those receiving the meals because it was a great service. Our cafeteria staff and managers have done exceptional work to go above and beyond the call to meet these needs. So real quickly, if you give me about 30 seconds, I'll read through these names. Ellen Brown, Jim Moose Brown, Susan Brown, Stuart Brown, Ricky Catlett, Annette Connor, Sandy Cravens, Mike Doyle, Patsy Doyle, Britt Eads, Joyce Fenimore, Randall Fenimore, Heather Griffin, Mark Griffin, Angela Haltom, Jeff Haltom, Leslie Hunt, Sherry Hutcherson, Stacy Keene, Sarah Lynn, Lauren Malika, Stephen Maurice, Rosemary McKnight, Wes McPeak, Ginger McPherson, Heather Melton, Clay Murley, Isaac Plunk, Kim Scott, Michelle Shirley, Diane Stewart, Sandy Thompson, Randall Todd, Shannon Urig, David Willis, and Amy Woolley. And again, we just say hats off to our volunteers who have really stepped up and provided a service to our community that will be long remembered.
I agree. Thank you, all.
And I want to say congratulations to all the educators of the week. And I do want to say thanks, as Troy already has, to all of our volunteers. Everybody's been working really hard to take care of the kids. And when you were reading it, I thought, that's why they call us the volunteer state.
Yeah.
Very good.
I've got a comment, please.
Go ahead, sir.
On the 4 teachers that were teachers of the week, educators of the week, is there some kind of a reward that maybe we could give these teachers? Would that be?
I'm not opposed to that. We haven't done that in the past. We've had Teachers of the Year each year. I'm proud of the fact that they've all done it. I would say some of them believe that there's a reward in it by just being recognized, because they do come and do an interview and do a spotlight on the WBBJ episode. So that's just my response to your question.
Okay, I agree. Since we haven't done it in the past, then it would probably not be okay to do it now.
They may be one of these 10 lucky winners for the Chamber Bucks package. So we'll see how God is.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Any other comments? All right, then, gentlemen, we'll move on to number 4 on our agenda, and that's going to be the board approval of a date and location for the graduation exercise, commencement exercise. It looks like at this time Troy is favoring June the 29th at 7 p.m. at the FHU auditorium. Is that correct, Troy?
Yes, sir. It's a date that both Dr. Catlett from the high school, one of 2 dates that he provided me earlier in the spring as potential dates for a replacement date for graduation. And then within that same week, I talked to President Shannon from Freed-Hardeman. He was very much wanting to be involved in this. I said, can you possibly give me some dates that would be acceptable for you to be a part of it? And he also used the same date, the June 29th date, that Monday, last Monday of the month. I went back to Dr. Catlett, asked him to solicit some feedback from the seniors of the class of 2020 to see if they were in support of it, and received some feedback from Dr. Catlett that they were good with that same date. So again, Freed-Hardeman provided the date. Dr. Catlett had already offered that same date, and then the senior class officers or leaders for class of 2020 also were in favor of that date.
This is Dwight. I make a motion, we approve that date.
This is
This
Ronald.
is Shane. I second.
All right, is baccalaureate service going to be the Sunday night prior?
We haven't made any decision about baccalaureate service. I have not asked. We were just wanting to make sure that we had a date out there for the graduation. So we have not made that decision yet.
Okay, we did have a motion and a second, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay,
Who was the second? I heard Shane and
Shane.
Dr.
Shane, I think, was.
Yeah, whichever.
yeah, okay. All right, and as far as discussion, Troy, I know that you're talking about we're going to probably have to limit the number of people to like either 6 tickets, maybe 8 or 10 tickets, just depending on what the state's saying we need to do at that time. Is that correct?
Well, again, I asked President Shannon what was the total capacity for Lloyd Auditorium, and the total capacity was 2,817 seats. So if the CDC guidelines are where we are still with a 50% capacity, then doing the math with 190 seniors to graduate, that would be approximately 6 tickets apiece. Now, we hope that late in June, that the opportunity to lessen that restriction happens. And if so, more tickets will be available for those who want to see their graduates participate in the commencement. So if we hope that it's not as restrictive as 50% capacity, but as it is right now, that's what we're expecting, 50%, and it would be 6 tickets per senior.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, Troy, you can call roll, sir.
Dwight Bingham,
Yes.
Shane Connor,
Yes.
Norris Frank,
Yes.
Mark Griffin,
Yes.
Ronald Johnson,
Yes.
Bob Moore.
Yes. All right, then, gentlemen, at this time, we've got it approved for June the 29th at 7 p.m. at the auditorium at Freed Hardeman Lloyd Auditorium. Moving right along, the next thing is going to be an incentive drawing for our educators that completed their survey. Troy, you want to comment on that before you do the drawing?
Yes, sir. Again, the educator survey results, we use those results every year to help guide our conversations with our staff for professional development needs. Also, it gives the principals a good pulse on where their employees are as far as the services and the opportunities to educate the students, not only with the behavior of our students and the classroom management, but also with the curriculum. So they extended the educator survey date. The deadline was pushed out later. So I revisited that survey with all the principals. 2 of our schools had 100% participation. And I want to say special thanks to Kim Scott at East Chester and Amy Woolley at West Chester. They both were able with their staff to have 100% participation. Overall, we had 90% participation with our staff, and to be a part of this drawing, then that school had to have at a minimum 75% participation. Now that is a significant return on any survey, and because that percentage being that high gives sufficient information to be able to build on with programs of study, professional development needs, and just again, giving the principals and leadership a good pulse on where the staff is for the work in front of them.
All right, now you can automatically draw them on your computer screen, is that correct?
Yeah, and give me just about 5 seconds to get my screen where it's open. Again, there's going to be a drawing for 10 different $50 chamber bucks packages. So we're going to select 10 from a listing of 202 educators. So give me just a second and let me know if you see this. Are you seeing mine that says random number generator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start the generation. There was a minimum of, it starts from 1 to 202, and I will draw 10 times. So comparing back to our rosters, we'll be able to identify which of those, because each individual educator has a number assigned to their name. So
Okay.
the first one will be number 98.
Okay.
That is Richard Carnes.
Richard Carnes. The second one be number 43.
That is Teresa Kraus.
Third selection was number 39.
Annette Connor.
Number 4, 92.
Is Jill Irwin.
Number 5 would be 28.
Is Lindley Carpenter.
Number 6 would be number 90.
Jamie Hurst.
Number 7, 198.
Boy, we jumped up there that time. Danielle Wilkerson.
Wilkerson.
Yeah.
Number 8,
Number 1,
Haley Alexander.
Alexander.
All right.
2 more. Number 9, 195.
That is Carol Ann Williams.
Let's see whose luck ran out to the very end. 192.
And that is Beth Whitman.
So these are our 10 winners. We will communicate with them through this office to make sure they know when they can pick up their packets. But again, to all of our 202 educators who participated, I do thank them for that, because it is a time labor, but it is a useful tool to review and to see if we're on the right track or where we need to step up and do a better job.
Okay, we want to thank all the teachers for participating. Easy for me to say. Okay, guys, we'll move on now to the next thing, which is a request for the board for the first draft of the 2021 general purpose budget.
This is Dwight. I'll make a motion. We approve it.
This is Ronald. I second it.
All right, any other discussion? All right, then we have a motion second. Troy, you want to call roll on that, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Dwight Bingham.
Yes.
Shane Connor.
Hey, Shane, you asleep?
Shane's muted. You muted yourself.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Mr. Norris Frank.
Yeah.
Mr. Mark Griffin.
Yes.
Dr. Ronald Johnson.
Yes.
And Mr. Bob Moore.
Yes. Okay, well, with that, then we will have approval of the first draft of our 2021 general purpose budget. And Now, I don't think I said it properly, but that did include the federal budgets. Do we need?
Yeah, all,
Okay, I thought we were going that. I'm sorry, I don't know that I
Yeah.
read that out. Okay, the next thing, we'll go along with that. The next thing is going to be a recommendation. And actually, we have a recommendation from the policy committee to approve, revisions to section 6. Do I have a second on that?
I second it, Dwight.
Okay, so we have the motion from the committee and a second to approve the changes to section 6 on our policy. Any other discussion? All right, Troy, please call roll again. Thank you.
Mr. Dwight Bingham,
Yes.
Mr. Shane Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Norris Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Mark Griffin,
Yes.
Dr. Ronald Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Bob Moore.
Yes. All right, guys, and that will approve the revisions to our section 6 of our policy manual. Going on to the next, number 8 will be the recommendation for the tuition fee for our out-of-county students. And Troy, if I'm looking at this right, we're keeping the rates the same, 600 for one student and 900 for two students or more per family. Is that correct?
That is correct. That falls within the guidelines of our portion of property tax now. So that's within reason, and that's my recommendation to keep those rates the same for the 2021 school year.
This is Dwight. I make a motion, we approve it.
Mr. Ronald, I second it.
All right, a motion and a second to approve that. Do we have any other discussion? All right, roll call, please, sir.
Mr. Dwight Bingham,
Yes.
Mr. Shane Connor, Mr. Norris Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Mark Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ronald Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Bob Moore.
Yes. All right then, gentlemen, that is approved, which so the 2021 school year out-of-county tuition will remain the same. The number 9, which was a revision, I think Troy sent out emails to everyone and trying to explain that they were changing on the book adoption. Troy, do you want to cover that real quick to be sure that we cover it correctly?
Again, the textbook adoption, the board approved those textbook adoption with the initial document back in March. It was the March 12th meeting. And then at a conversation today I had with Dr. Jill Faulkner, we learned that the document that was approved before shows Westchester first and second grade at two different book adoptions. What had happened was that they were considering both, and when they finally decided to go with what's called the CKLA edition, along with what East and Jacks Creek are doing for K-3 schools, it was an oversight to not remove the wit and wisdom for first and second grade at Westchester from that document. So my recommendation is to make this accurate and for the board to approve the revision that wit and wisdom for first and second grade Westchester will be removed.
I make a motion, we approve it. This is Dwight.
Mr. Ronald, I second it.
All right, we have a motion second that we remove that from the original document. Any other discussion? All right, Troy, let's call roll one more time.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dwight Bingham,
Yes.
Mr. Shane Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Norris Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Mark Griffin,
Yes.
Dr. Ronald Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Bob Moore.
Yes, okay, gentlemen, that will mean that we do adjust that, taking off the grades 1 and 2 at Westchester for the second book adoption. Okay, I think that's everything on our agenda. Does anybody have any things about any questions or any updates? Or Troy, was there anything you wanted to update the board on?
I shared this with Bob earlier before the meeting got started, but we have already had a confirmation with those at Pigeon Forge for the TSBA training dates. what we were told for the reservation that we have, they have not opened the Music Road Inn. So our current accommodations will be at the Road Hotel across the
Across the
street.
street, yeah.
I think
So
we
we'll be
stayed
in
there
the
before,
bigger-
hadn't we?
We stayed there before, sure have.
So, I mean, the accommodations will be at the same facility, it's just across the street.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
just want to inform you guys as that has changed.
Okay. I did want to make mention before we are adjourned that our next meeting will be on Thursday, June the 11th, at the board office. Troy, I don't think we've got any guidance yet whether it'll be an open meeting like normal or over the computers. What do you think?
Well, what we do know right now is Executive Order 16 is the one that we're under still. That does not expire until May the 18th. So that expires Monday unless the governor offers another one to extend it further. So our expectations, if the governor allows this to expire, then we'll be in the physical meeting space here at the conference room.
The city's meeting tonight.
Is that right?
Yes, Board of Alderman and Mayor.
Well, the county commission met in person, but the 18th is when the Executive Order 16. I received that confirmation with Ben Torres with the TSBA this past, I guess that was yesterday.
Well, do you think, Troy, we may still have some guidelines, like even if we're all here, we may be setting every other seat or something to that effect?
Well, obviously, we have learned in a short fashion how to become experts with technology. So I would not be surprised if we have to continue to still use the technology for what we're doing.
Okay. Well, that's all I have. Anybody on the board have anything else?
One question. What about the fire damage at East Chester?
Britt is on. I saw him earlier. Britt, could you unmute yourself, or Stephen, unmute yourself? Either of you guys have been more involved than I have.
I'm here, Troy. Today they started, crews come in and they started scrubbing the soot out of the room. They got rid of the tiles in the room next to it. I don't know whose room it is, but it's room 23. And they're going to start the scrub down. Then I assume they'll get the painting, the lights, ceiling grid. And then I assume it'll be up to us to do the technology and get it installed. And then it should be back to as normal as we can be.
Are we going to limit the number of plug-ins in the future?
Yes. That will be, I don't know exactly how it will be policy-wise, or if it'll need to be a policy, or just this is the way we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But there will be revisions.
What I heard sound like they need to be.
Well, my understanding is there was probably more plugged in than was supposed to be in anyway, correct?
Well, Stephen, I know you're here. Can you add to it, Stephen Maurice?
According to the investigation from the fire department, what is most likely the cause was not that there was necessarily too much plugged in, but it was likely that devices were stacked on top of one another, and they overheated somehow. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
But it's likely that those devices that were stacked on one another overheated, and that's basically what caused the fire.
Okay.
Again, the expectation was not that we would be out for the rest of the year. The devices were left plugged up because we just assumed that we would be back soon. Actually, there was a computer still working in the classroom after the fire was remediated. So after that, I'd asked, and the principals all stepped up and did what I asked, to go through the schools, all schools, just to make sure that we did not have that circumstance occur in other campuses. But again, nobody knew at that time when we left on March the 17th or 16th that we would not return at all. That was not the expectation.
Yeah.
Can I say that the computers were not stacked up? This is Kim. They were in Iraq.
I think the fire department came back and stated that there possibly the types of devices had recalls on the batteries and maybe one of the batteries had failed. That's theory, no guarantee, but that's a possibility because the picture that Kim showed us, they were not stacked on top of each other like some do in some classrooms.
Well, I don't think anyone's trying to really place blame because we're living in really unusual circumstances. And as Troy said, we had no idea they'd be out the rest of the year when we left. And, I know that none of our staff would leave something they thought was dangerous. It was just maybe it could have very well been a defective battery. You hear phones blowing up all the time. But anyway, so all we can do from here, my opinion, is move forward, clean it up, and hope we get started next August.
Yeah. Thank y'all for the information.
Anybody have anything else? How about a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn. This is Dwight.
Do we have a second?
I'll second this, Ronald.
All right. I say we just say, everybody say, all in favor, say aye on this one. All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bob, Troy.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.